Thank you, and a very good afternoon to everyone. So please allow me to deliver my presentation in English. My name is Chet, and I'm representing AWS from the ASEAN perspective, representing the healthcare industry. So just a quick background. Myself, I'm a clinical person by training. I was a surgeon, did emergency medicine, but over the course of my career, over the last 20 years, I've transitioned into consulting, I've been into startups, and today I'm representing AWS, which is the technology cloud provider. Alright, so I think we're not taking up too much time because I know the risk is I'm standing between you and a good lunch and maybe some more great information from my fellow presenters. I'd like to actually shift the gear a bit. You've heard a lot about solutions, you've heard a lot about use cases, very complex and intricate setups. What I'm going to do is in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to take you a bit more into the future. Alright, so we're talking about 2030, 2040, and the reason why we do this is because at AWS, we always like to kind of work backwards because we want to know what is the need in the future, and we design our services and our technology to meet and enable our customers. The thing about looking around the corner, which requires a bit of prediction, is a bit of intelligent guessing as well. So it's very hard to kind of tell you exactly what, but we are quite good at knowing why things happen. So why, and then how to do it. So that's where I'm going to talk about the why and the how. The what is you probably heard from the fellow presenters, okay? Now, so this presentation has two parts. It's going to be very easy, and it's going to have three takeaways from each part. So the first part is about the why. Right? So healthcare, as you know it, is actually rapidly changing. Across the world, the definition of healthcare or the scope of work is actually getting larger and larger. So let me show you, right? Now, this is a typical lifeline. We are born on the left as a baby, we go through life, build a career, start a family, and towards the end, we are slowly aging and we might probably change the lifestyle, or we actually have to live with chronic diseases. It is becoming a norm. Cancer is not terminal anymore. It might be a chronic disease, okay? The prevalence of diabetes is increasing because of lifestyle and diet, and increasingly stress and mental illness is becoming the mainstay, right? So, okay, in an ideal world, we all want to be healthy. We love to be in the green, okay? Everyone do our best to be in the green. But the reality is, you can see, we do fall ill, we pick up diseases, and we need treatment, alright? Because the disease state is either a sickness, a biological or physiological malfunction, or it's actually an illness, which is like a chronic disease or an affliction, which is, there's a social context to it, okay? Now, healthcare today, in terms of those in the industry, including myself from the healthcare world, the purple box represents the healthcare industry, right? So you can see from health, there's healthcare. But going forward, there is this component where if you look at the very early stage in life, there's a lot of assistance and development and a lot of early care, right? Similarly, the whole world is aging. A lot of ASEAN countries, the population is on average getting older. Singapore is actually one of the countries where I'm based, where very soon the average age will move up into the 60s, okay? So you can imagine the average age will be at a retirement age. And there's going to need of different sort of care. Today, there is no real provision. That means there's no business model, there's no operating model that can accommodate this, right? So this is the scope. You have complex kind of stakeholders here needed to deliver care at the beginning and the end of life. But then, our diseases are becoming more and more complicated. Therapies, treatments are going to be based on more and more advanced, complex processes and therapeutic solutions such as genomics, personalized medicine, and complex therapies. You've seen the use case that was shared, even like proton therapy and advanced surgery, okay? So the question is, okay, the takeaway, the three takeaways for why healthcare is going to be what it's going to be. 3 C's, very simple. Complex stakeholder management, number one. Second C, complex processes, and this is in the traditional healthcare space, the hospitals, the smart wards, the pharmacies, etc. And then, across from your early life all the way to the end of your life, you are actually producing health-related data. It's either captured in your electronic medical records, your wearables, your vitals, or in your consuming behavior. That means what you eat, where you travel, your environment, the pollution, etc. And your data is continuous. It will not stop. Alright? Now, so this is actually the need of the healthcare space going forward. Right? So now, how do we deal with this? How do we provide the infrastructure? How do we as technologies enable the healthcare industry going forward? Okay, so now I'm going into kind of the second part, right? And the second part has 3 Ds, okay? From A, B, C, and D, right? So you see the 3 Cs. Now this is the first D. Okay, as technologists, what we do with digital is on the left side. We can decouple physical infrastructure. That means from needing to go to a hospital or clinic to access care, we can do it remotely or through telemedicine, right? Number 2, workflows no longer is in series. That means you don't have to register, queue, wait, see the doctor, queue again, wait, get an x-ray done, wait, see the doctor again. So it's about parallel processing and automation, okay? And then you can see also you're able to bring in partnerships. That means you're able to work across the different departments, work across different operations, and work in and outside the hospital, right? So that's about leveraging partnerships. And in the end of the day is you are able to tap onto a platform model, right? So most modern care services have a platform capability. That means it's a common area of interchange of processes and quality standards. So what does technology do? If you look at the traditional challenges of health, access, quality, and cost, with innovation, I'm not saying that you can completely break the triangle, because the triangle is based on economics and physical factors. But you can actually scale your operations sustainably. And that's the concept of putting the technology on the cloud, because the cloud is a way of getting computing and digital capability in a scalable and always available manner. Right? So this is here, I'm trying to marry technology and the fact that we are in a data center and cloud conference into the healthcare industry. So the solutions that you have heard from my fellow speakers before, and I think one after me, is based on this combination. Alright? So the first thing is democratize the healthcare access. Okay? Number 2, well, not really number 2, part of democratize is the platform model. So you can see here the fact that you can create a health ecosystem on a platform. And I don't mean this is 100% online. This is literally could be online, offline, or offline, online, offline again. It can be used at a hospital, it can be a patient-facing consumer app, or it could be a startup. For example, it's the same model. Balancing, value creation, value capture, and you can see here, availability to scale and enables trust. So it captures the quality standards, okay? Okay, now, second D, right? Data, a big favorite among us in the technology club. The 4 processes that you've seen from before, physical decoupling, parallel process, partnership, and platform, what does that do? It actually captures the data. So if you remember from my first C, right, the continuous flow of data, now, data now can be brought into the care process. So the traditional hospital model or the clinic model is here, it stops here. The patient talks to the doctor makes the diagnosis, puts the treatment, right? So this is the traditional consult relationship. And here is quality versus clinical decision making. Now, if you talk about population health, for example, COVID-19, we need the data to flow this way, faster, more frequently, and continuous. So from the practice, which is the consult, the clinic, the hospital, it needs to flow into the ministry or the population health. So this is basically public health, right? So what used to be reports that were submitted manually, decisions that took weeks to be made, are actually being made within hours during the pandemic, right? So this is the population health level. And then guess what? Again, we go to the future. When you talk about personalized medicine, how do we create therapies that are based on your individual genome, but make it all the way into a global practice standard? So this is how information has to flow more frequently with accuracy and protecting data privacy and integrity all the way into the global level of public health. This is where therapies are made. So if you take a step back, this is where the creation of what we call population health, right? It's an evolution of traditional practice into this way. And how does it go? Back and forth, you can see it's a cycle. It's literally through technologies and digital, such as being powered by the cloud. So this is where we see technology being an enabler and creating that capability, right? Because if not, it's impossible to have a continuous flow of information. It is impossible to make decisions as fast as we need to, and it's impossible to deliver the better outcomes from the research perspective all the way back to us as an individual patient. Okay? So this is the second enablement. This is about data. Right? So I can see the clock is running, but don't worry, I'm on track. Now, we all talk about patient-centric care. Correct? So we talk about the individual. But today, healthcare is not patient-centric, to be frank with you. It is by specialty, by department, it is by institution, right? Now, to truly get real patient care, the model needs to focus on the right information, the right site for the right clinician, addressing the right patient, okay? So again, you see at the bottom is this famous left to right line. I call it the care continuum here. That's basically from birth all the way to the end of life, okay? Now, what you see on the left is basically the different care models, okay? To be really truly patient-centric, you have to follow the patient. That means each time the patient has an event, this is a birth, this is a day surgery, this is a health screening, this is a trauma, accident, emergency surgery, and this is geriatric care. So how do you enable this flow, right? It's because if you don't have your data and your access as per the first two Ds, you cannot get this third D. And with this third D, then you will go to the future, right? Okay? Now, I'm going to kind of finish up and go into literally, again, I always have three takeaways, okay? Right? So, number one, the reasons for transformation in healthcare is not because we love technology. It's because there are very real problems we're trying to solve. Cost, consumer engagement, staff experience, and competition, it is always there. It will be even more serious in the future. We cannot build enough hospitals, we cannot train enough doctors and nurses in time to cope with our demand. Right? So how does these three main themes given birth from these five areas of pain? Number one, some people say that there won't be hospitals in the future. I disagree. Hospitals will still be around, medical centers will still be around, and they're very important. There's a real reason why they need to be around, because they are specialized capability. You cannot get neurosurgery in a shopping mall, right? You cannot do trauma care in a clinic. You need a full, capable specialist facilities. But they will change by nature. So I use this term, hospitals, same, but different. Okay, so what does it mean? It will still be a hospital, but it is a very focused factory. And these are likely the areas that it is focused on. Okay, for those in the hospital business, you will know your asset is the physical real estate. You always talk about revenue per square feet, or how much resource is needed to generate your revenue. In fact, the focused factory model increases your revenue per square feet because you're highly specialized. Okay, so this is for those who are in the business side of the house. Okay, number two, still part of the same theme, but the second point is it is going to be a mix of inpatient and outpatient. So this is just a diagram from Singapore where they talk about hospital being part of the kampong. Kampong is a Malay term, is to mean the village, the community. So community health will be brought into the hospital system. And because it is based on the drivers of health, which is social determinants. That means it's not just biological problems, it's mental health, it is wellness, it is eating well, it is coping with stress, it is having a holistic service. Alright? So this is the hybrid model. Again, it doesn't mean that it's a physical building, it's a platform, it could be online and offline. Okay? And then thirdly, to the IoT and 5G team, there will be conditions that you will never have to see the inside of a hospital. Today, in fact, when I was doing A&E, we would admit people for heart failure, for COPD, which is breathlessness because of respiratory disease, or chronic renal disease for dialysis. We would admit to the renal ward. But tomorrow, or in the future, imagine these three conditions. We'll never see the inside of the hospital because it is managed remotely. Oh, okay. I'm going to just try to wrap up. Yeah, okay. So, number two, the fact that if technology is available, okay, AI, IoT, you can see is there, right? We all spoke about it. The big word for this slide, the most important word is this one. If you're going to not read anything, focus on this word. The data must flow from the EHR, the medical record, to the diagnostics, to the nursing care, to the operations. Without interoperability, we cannot do all the future good things in healthcare. We cannot do personal medicine, right? Because why? If I don't have interoperability, I cannot do digital twin. Digital twin is not a technology concept. It is a concept where I can represent your health in the data model, and your data model will contain your genomics. And this is how I can build a customized treatment for a tumor that the patient has. This is how I can choose the right therapeutic that is 30% higher chance of curing your cancer, for example. Okay? So the concept here is look at all the different data models, the biological data, the environment data, the wearable data, the treatment data, and your response to medication, right? So this is the digital twin, right? So the next one, you've seen this, I think it's a great example, the Taiwan Hospital Command Center, right? Exactly it's what our speakers have shared. Hospitals will be integrated and managed across. That means there's no longer wastage of resources, there's no unnecessary waiting time, and there is flow of operations. Okay, so this is the other part of Team 2, disruption by interoperating data and technology. Alright? Okay, and I think for the surgical part, okay, I won't really talk about this. You guys have seen such a great demo by the speaker before. It is about assisting in surgery. And this is my last section for the organizers because they're worried I'm standing between you and the lunch. So in the end of the day, it's about enablement of the environment, right? When you have the concepts of Team 1 and Team 2 before, we can actually break free from our construct of what a hospital should be. Today, it's a very serious place. It's a place where we go, we don't have fun, right? But in the future, it can be very different, right? And I can show you, for example, your hospital room, right? It's dynamic, it can transform. You can actually have your family members stay with you, you can have your clinician when he comes, it changes. So dynamic change environment and your feel of the hospital will be very different. And it's not about building different rooms. This is the same room, but it changes because the data being used is different. The way it's presented is different. Again, right side, right time, right patient. Okay? And then lastly, if you look at this, this is actually a project that's coming up in Denmark. It's not a concept, they're actually building it. It's literally right in the middle of a forest, right? So they can actually build a hospital in a very relaxing area, and all these different rooms are dynamic. That means they can change based on the function and based on how they want to propose the function, okay? So just, like I said, change of gears, open your mind, think about the future, and we as technologists, we don't necessarily always know the what, because the what is the clinician space, okay? It's the therapeutic space. For us, we come in at how to do things, because our technology is the how, and we must understand why is it that healthcare is going that direction, okay? So, thank you very much. I hope I didn't overstay.